The member for Wide Bay.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Urban Infrastructure, representing the Minister for Communications. Will the minister update the House on steps the government is taking to protect local jobs in the media industry, particularly in regional Australia, and are there any alternative approaches?
The Minister for Urban Infrastructure has the call.
Well, I do thank the member for Wide Bay, who fights very strongly for his electorate. He fights very strongly for regional jobs in Wide Bay and all around regional Australia, because he knows that the coalition stands up for regional and rural and remote Australia, whereas Labor is completely indifferent to regional and rural and remote Australia. The Turnbull government is fighting to protect jobs in the media industry, and that's why the Turnbull government has today introduced into parliament legislation to give effect to our comprehensive media reform package. The Australian media business, Mr Speaker, is exposed to fierce competition from global media players and from social media giants thanks to internet-driven disruption. And these huge global companies, Mr Speaker, are not subject to arcane, out-of-date restrictions like the 2 out of 3 rule and the 75% audience reach rule. Australian industry players want to respond, but they are blocked by arcane laws and by Labor's head-in-the-sand attitude. What is it that the chief executives of the regional broadcasters have to say? This is a joint comment from the chief executives of 3 regional broadcasters, Prime, Win and Southern Cross Austereo. They say, surely the evidence is clear. We doubt there is a politician in Canberra who wants to say they presided over an outdated regulatory regime that held back regional media. Well, Mr Speaker, there is a politician in Canberra who apparently wants to say exactly that, the Shadow Minister for Communications, who is continuing to argue for the retention of the outdated 2 out of 3 rule. Never mind the rise of global internet-based competition. She doesn't care about that. She put out a media release yesterday saying that to date Labor's Shadow Communications Minister has not received a briefing, curiously referring to herself in the third person, which always raises suspicion. She said not once in over a year has the minister consulted with Labor. She criticises Senator Fifield. She criticised Senator Fifield, the minister, for referring to the fact that 1,400 jobs at the 10 network are at risk. Well, I've got news for the Shadow Minister. It's not about you. It's about 1,400 jobs at 10 that are at risk. It's about jobs in regional Australia that are at risk. It's about the Turnbull government's plan to protect jobs in regional Australia in the media sector. We have a plan because we care about jobs, we care about people in regional Australia, we care about a diverse, active, vigorous media sector, an important part of our democracy, an important part of our society. The Turnbull government has a plan. Labor needs to get its head out of the sand, realise that times have changed and support our legislation. Yeah.